Hi, I'm Katie.
I'm Jim.
And we're Finn's Frog Farm. Today we're going to take a look at some of our isopod colonies and refreshing those. There's a couple of things that we want to do with that. Is our isopod mix has become spent, so that means that we've had isopods growing in there for a really long time, and we want to use different containers that slide onto our shelves easier and have a different ventilation system. So Jim, you want to share how you did the ventilations on our new bins?
Yeah, absolutely. These are just some bins that you can get at any national retailer. What it is, I took a vent. I think these are called louver vents that you can pick up at again, probably most hardware stores have those. And I take a soldering iron so I can make a nice clean hole to push the vent through. And what's nice about that as well is it kind of, when I do it with the soldering iron versus a drill, it kind of almost seals it in there because it's nice and hot when I push this through. And I just push it through and it's in there on both sides. And then one of the reasons we're switching to these bins is they're smooth on the bottom, and it will slide easier on our racking system for our bugs. And then
these are always getting caught on the rack, so it makes it a little bit more cumbersome to pull them off, and we want a faster way to do it.
And Katie had mentioned, she said the word spent. It's a word that's used often in the hobby with isopods. I'm not sure with millipede owners, but you can almost see, I'll pick it up and it almost starts to look like coffee grounds versus like an actual substrate. I don't know if that's coming in really clear, but
we'll do a close-up of that too.
But that's how you can tell it's spent and ready to be refreshed.
The substrate that we're using is Finn's Frog Farm Isopod and Millipede substrate mix. It comes in a 1-gallon container. We have bulk of it that we're going to use. It has aspen wood, peat moss, charcoal, leaf litter, and milled sphagnum moss.
And calcium carbonate.
Calcium carbonate. Yep. So we're going to fill the bin about 2 inches, an inch thick, and just using our bulk.
And one thing we'll do when Katie gets that filled to the level that she wants is we'll add some water. We use reverse osmosis water for this process just because it's free of any harsh chemicals for the bugs. And then it's kind of a case-by-case scenario. Some isopods, millipedes, like different moisture levels in their substrate. The one that we're going to do first is a gold or yellow spot armadillian species. Sometimes this species likes it a little drier, if I remember correctly, but we'll still add some water to this and make sure it's a little damp. So I'm going to go ahead and pour some of that in there right now. And we don't want to get it too soggy, and it will start to soak some of this up. One of the other things that we'll do, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we'll put some sphagnum moss, some long strand sphagnum moss on one side of it just to help with the humidity, so we're not constantly having to spray them down.
Can I get more water?
Yep. The blend does have milled sphagnum moss in there too, so it will help hold humidity as well. A lot of nice organic material in there for them to chew on, but also keep in mind you're still going to want to feed them. We do have an isopod food that we do sell on our website.
All right, that looks really good. Nice content. It's a little stickier, so that has that water in it. Okay, we're gonna transfer over. already has like lots of springtails on the cork bark. So we're gonna just add those to the habitat.
Yeah, so we also don't mind having springtails in with our isopods. They kind of live well together. And now comes the transfer process, and this is why you can tell they're an armadillian species. Just like an armadillo, they roll themselves into a ball. You can see it's rolling around there, but it's alive and well, but defense mechanism is it's rolled itself into a ball. So we'll gently roll that guy in there.
Cork bark's really important to have too, you know, besides giving the space for the springtails. This is where they're gonna burrow and hide. So you want to make sure if you're changing over your into new isopods and stuff that you bring over any cork bark that's been in there.
One thing we'll do as well is we'll take some of the top soil in case there's any babies or anything that we miss, so we don't want to leave them behind.
Yep, definitely not. These are such a pretty one. They go good in the larger frog tanks, but also just like as pets.
Yeah, I like the larger species with our tree frogs. Obviously, sometimes they can get picked off by the tree frogs, but really you'd be surprised how often the tree frogs leave them alone. But they make a really nice cleanup crew. You know, as you can imagine, bigger frog, bigger waste to clean up, but so that's really helpful. And then if you have really a big species in with dart frogs, sometimes they can be detrimental. Like they can actually chew on the dart frogs, or if you have breeding pairs of dart frogs or a breeding group and they lay eggs, isopods like to eat those eggs. So the bigger ones are a little tougher for a dart frog species. It's been done before. In fact, when I was newer to the process, I didn't know any better, and I did it. And but then
we're still picking out really large isopods from some of our dart frog habitats.
Yeah, we've had some dart frog habitats that have been going for a really long time. So we tend to use more the dwarf species with the dart frogs because they're smaller, obviously, and they do tend to be more under the surface of the substrate, which kind of helps with them not also getting picked off too much by the dart frogs. But that will happen too with bigger species of dart frogs. Will definitely. So I'm seeing some smaller ones in here. Probably going to be harder to pick it up on camera, but those would be the reasons to grab the little bit of that top soil. Maybe on this finger right here you can see maybe a little tiny one, but those are the little babies.
So you can see that like right here is a little baby isopod. So we want to make sure that we transfer over some of those. Lots of springtails, so then this is the time where we'll just grab chunks of the substrate to make sure that we get those isopods in there.
An adult top layer, if you're okay with that. Here's a good example of the spent substrate where it really, you can see where it looks like the coffee grounds. So that's when you know it's a good time to replace it.
Here's where we put that sphagnum moss. We're putting it at the front of our habitat by the vent. And then Jim is just including some of that leaf litter too. We're gonna add a whole bunch of that leaf litter when we're done transferring. So now we have everything transferred over. We have the cork bark on the top, and you know, got all the isopods, the big ones that we could find, and then took some of the substrate from the other one so that we could make sure that we got any babies. So we're gonna top it off with a whole bunch of leaf litter and feed them when we bring the habitats downstairs. So we're gonna do a lot of it because this is their primary diet. And we're gonna try to stack most of the leaves towards the back That's way, you know, when we put this vent in, we put it up towards the front. And so that way, when we put it in, the leaves won't be up by the vent. So hopefully keeping the isopods in there.
And we get these leaves from our property. We have a large area. Actually, all of the property is, none of it is treated with chemicals. But we have a large area where we can harvest these leaves from.
A little more right here. Perfect. All right, and then we'll give it a spray down when we bring it downstairs, and feeds the isopods some of our food that we sell. All right, we're gonna do another habitat. This one is zebras.
Have to see which one I brought up. I think it was zebra.
All right. Zebra. So we've been working on, again, trying to grow this population.
Another thing besides our isopod food that we put in there is carrots are also a good idea with, sorry, I just killed a spider there. But carrots make a nice, are a nice nutritional and a hydration source for them, and they hold up well in these habitats. Again, you can see that this is pretty spent substrate, time for a change. And so we'll start rinse and repeat what we just did. So Katie's going to add that substrate. As she's doing that, I'm going to look around a little bit for more of these. There they are. Those are fun. Zebra. Obviously you see why they're called zebra or zebra. Zebra, zebra.
Because you remember when Finn used to watch this show with all these animals in a pool, and they would say all the animal names. And they would be like, zebra. So this right here is 1 gallon. And so that covers just the bottom perfectly. Look at how deep that is. Okay, can you go ahead and add some water in there for us, Jim?
More or less?
No, I think that's good. Sticking together. Okay, the sphagnum moss we're going to add towards the front. It's just a nice way to retain water inside the habitat without flooding it and getting that substrate super wet. You know, so isopods can decide, you know, are they going to go to that wet area or would they prefer it dry? It just gives them that option. Okay, add those cork bark pieces with isopods on it.
And zebras are another armadillian species. Say that 10 times fast. And if you do say it 10 times fast, send us a video of you saying it 10 times fast.
You can tell like leaves are their primary diet. When you look, it ends up getting really stringy because they've eaten off a majority of the leaf. This is one of our other favorites.
Again, it's another bigger species that stays almost on the top most of the time, and they don't burrow too far under. Again, another fun species to put in to a bigger frog habitat. You know, I think of like the contrast, you know, like that you can do with some of the, you know, bigger frogs, tree frogs, like a red-eye tree frog habitat that's well put together, a nice bioactive one, and then you have some zebra or yellow spot isopods running around in there. It just makes for this really stunning display that you can be proud to put anywhere in your home. Again, I'm going to probably take a little bit of this top layer to make sure I'm not missing anything.
It's easy to miss those babies. They're pretty tiny.
Yep, here's a perfect example.
Did you drop it?
Nope, it's on this little... I'll try to get it in Katie's hand here. Tiny.
Yeah. There it is, a little tiny thing. I see two right here.
Okay.
It's like your treasure hunt trying to find them. You know, you need a rather large colony to breed. I think these we sell them in quantities of 10.
Yeah, if you're looking to establish a colony, I mean, you can start with that 10, but it's going to really take a long time. But if you're going to want to start breeding them, I think you want to start with a minimum 500 to 1,000 is really going to help you get some good numbers pretty quickly. Otherwise, it's going to just take some time. So it's just what you want to do and what your plan is. Again, all things that we learned along the way, right? You know, we were good at frogs, but learning bugs was another learning curve. But you know, we're fairly certain that Katie figured it out, not me.
With some. Dairy cow, I think I started with a colony of 24 and they multiplied pretty quick, but they're really hardy, large species. You know, the zebra, we had a smaller colony of those, so it's taking a lot longer for us.
I think that's probably what we're going to get out of here. We can always go back. We don't dump this out right away. What we'll do is we'll go back, you know, in probably a day or so, make sure there's no stragglers that we left behind, and then we'll just dump the waste out and move on. We'll probably be getting rid of these bins just because, like we said in the beginning, we're going to use some that are more user-friendly for our shelving, so they slide in and out easily without a struggle.
All right, so again, we're gonna top off with lots of leaf litter. You know, it's a food source, hiding spot. I need more. Lots and lots of leaves. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.